just media. So let's put that over. Mute yourself. Yes, people. We are back in the building, back in Redmond HQ. I've got a couple of people. He is not a clown, by the way. I think that I know the reason as to why he's doing no face, no case up on the Red Cartel settings. But I have got smaller panel today, as we have got plans this evening over here at Redmond TV. We will be heading down to Anfield a little bit later for the Football Blacklist Award ceremony. So a little bit of an earlier slot than usual. But I appreciate anybody that's joined, anybody that then watches this on catch up. Do leave some comments in the YouTube. Let us know your feelings. So leave some comments downstairs. Let us know the vibes. Let us know what you think of the show. I say I've got my tried and tested lads with me today. They've rolled up. They've pulled up to the venue. It's a man like Connor and it's a man like Tezza. You know who they support. You know what they represent. And lads, it's the Red Cartel. So I just want to let's address the elephant in the room first and foremost. I think personally, here and now, the excuses of the Arsenal have been put to bed. They have signed their big money striker. They have got Victor Gyökeres, as I've been seeing streaming all over Twitter, all over Instagram. They're telling us they have the best striker in Europe at this moment in time in an Arsenal shirt. What more excuses can they possibly have? They have now got the final piece of their puzzle, or do they have the final piece of their puzzle? Connor, let me know what are your thoughts in terms of the signing, and then on top of that, your prospects for next season now as a result.
Right, obviously, you know, and most people know, I've been Gyökeres from day one.
Yes.
I didn't even want to listen to none of that Sesko mess. Yeah, get out of here with it. Didn't have time for it. I think we do have that final piece. I mean, we're looking for obviously improvements on the left wing and strengthening in just general squad depth, because teams play a lot of games now. Players do get run into the ground, but I don't even know if excuses is a word that really should be brought into play, because now I think by using that, you're talking down your own team. So imagine we had another season where we lost out to you and we want to discuss about excuses. That's then discrediting what Liverpool are doing. I think we spoke about this transfer window so far right now. Again, us and you guys have by far the strongest teams. City had a reasonable window at the start, but we've had the best window hands down, providing we stay fit.
You had the best window.
No, we. As like Liverpool and Arsenal.
Okay. Well, we still got Tezza, Connor. We still got Tezza in the court. Like when you said we, I was thinking I thought you were just talking exclusively about yourselves.
No, my hands were here, so I couldn't see Tez at the time. Apologies, Tez. No, but we've as clubs we've had the strongest window so far. We've brought in the biggest, as you would like to call them, game changers. We've brought in someone who is a proven goal scorer.
Absolutely.
Right. Not only did he just do it in the Portuguese league, which it's not obviously a big 6 European league, but to score that many goals in any league is a joke. No matter what if that's your level that you're playing at, to then score that many is crazy. But he's also done it in Champions League. This is a player that's now going to get onto the end of those balls that the players we've had previously haven't been able to. Havertz is not your out-and-out 9. He's not running onto the same balls getting into the box. Jesus likes to come back and hold the ball. He's not running to that area that we need to fill, that space where big chances could be created. We've got someone that now fills in the holes in that area, as far as I am concerned.
Tezza, do you agree? Do you feel that they have got the missing piece, or do you think, because there was news and a little bit of speculation that Manchester United were going to make a late push for Gyökeres? I don't know whether that was just a ploy by the agent or by Sporting to just try and speed up the deal ultimately. But do you believe him to be the guy going forward for Arsenal now? Does he make them serious title contenders, in all honesty?
Again, it's difficult because you haven't seen him play in this Arsenal team. We don't know what Arteta's plan is in terms of whether it's going to be the same kind of 4-3-3 and you just put Gyökeres or Gyökeres, however you want to call him,
Just put some respect on his name. We'll go with Gyökeres. Okay, go on, carry on,
whether you want to put him just straight in for Havertz, or whether, you know, Arteta thinks he might go a little bit more direct and have Gyökeres up with Havertz just off him, because I think a lot of what I've seen from Gyökeres is he's been able to use his physicality to his advantage. You know, as soon as he gets the ball, he wants to spin, run, turn off the shoulder of centre backs, get in between like a full back and a centre back, and try and
in the channels, from those channels there, and then going straight to goal, very direct. And I don't
he's
mind
an old school direct player.
I don't mind that, but at the same time, we haven't necessarily seen that stylistically from Arsenal for the last season anyway. And I don't know whether he's going to have to revert to type. But
yeah, so
you can't get this guy and put him in handcuffs.
Yeah, that's my point. Whether Arsenal can change how they build up and how they create chances to fit his strengths, or whether he has to change how he plays a little bit and become a little bit more of a box presence, where, you know, we've seen he receives a lot of cutbacks from Sporting and he's got a great ball strike ability, but at the same time, Sporting, when they counter-attack and transition, they are a lot more physically dominant versus most teams. Now, obviously Arsenal are, but they don't get the amount of space that a Sporting would, because teams sit back off them and they typically have more possession and try and break teams down. So if he can develop to that, I think what he definitely will do is score more than any of the other forwards that Arsenal have had.
Does he get 20 goals this season? Debut season, is he breaking that 20 goal a season buffer?
Prem or comps?
Prem. I'm in. For me, he's got to come in. So I said it with Declan Rice. Look, at the end of the day, when we splashed those kind of fees on Van Dijk, when we splashed that kind of money on Alisson, we did it with the intent that they were going to be transformative to the squad. In comparison to the players that we had at the time, the Mignolets and the Dejan Lovrens of this world, they were just going to take us to a next level. And once we get to that next level, because we had a frightening attack at times, we should really be pushing on for trophies. I said the same thing about Declan Rice. Now, that's not to say that Declan Rice hasn't necessarily had a transformative effect on Arsenal, but it hasn't bared fruit to the point where they've actually won trophies since he's been there. So I'm like, now, is this guy the missing piece? Is he going to be that linchpin for Arsenal that can at least galvanize them towards a trophy of some description? 20 goals should be the target for the Prem, and he should be in conversations with, you know, Isak, Salah's, Haaland's. He should be sitting in that bracket when you're looking at the numbers, goals and assists come at the end of next season. Personally, that's what I think.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. I'm trying to think who was the last Arsenal player to get 20 goals.
Aubameyang. He did it with the year that he got the PFA with Mane, not the PFA, sorry. He got the golden boot with Mane and Salah.
Oh, it's 20,
split it. And I think they touched 21 or 22 goals that season. Yeah. Someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, whatever that was. But it was definitely Aubameyang.
So you're talking about at least 4 seasons ago. So I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I don't think you'll actually get 20 Premier League goals. I think you'll get more than 20 potentially in all comps. But I think the Premier League is quite difficult. And what typically happens, I could be wrong, but what typically happens with new attackers that come in, they'll have a hot streak. And then because they're not used to playing the Christmas period back to back to back, it dries up a little bit and then they'll find their feet again. So I think for him to seem a success, anywhere between 15 and 20 is good. Anywhere 20 plus is amazing. If you
Connor, what are you slapping on his head?
I think he definitely needs more than 20. I think he will get more than 20 Premier League goals. Not saying he's going to go and get like 29 or whatever. He might. You never know. But what I'll tell you why I'm actually like really excited about him is I think there's aspects of his game that is going to help boost stuff that we already have with other players. So, like you said, his desire and his want to just turn and go direct on goal. Obviously, we do a lot of possession-based play where we build it up and break teams down, but we've also shown that we are dangerous on the counter when our wingers get moving or somewhat, because a lot of teams play a lot of high lines now. But even just his physicality holding the ball up, I think that's then going to play dividends in our favour to those overlapping runs from whoever's on our left wing, from Saka, from Ben White when he's playing on the pitch, Declan Rice running in behind. I think it's just you're going to have someone who is like Havertz is big and strong, but he's a nuisance. The reason I like him is because he's a nasty piece of work. He's not the greatest player holding the ball up. You get a player who actually can, and then you have all those runs in behind with all that other movement going. I think that's going to kind of build on the stuff we have, having someone else in there more comfortable, able to actually do that. Okay.
The reason I started with Gyökeres is because I think there's now a domino effect that's happened, or we're watching happen unfold in real time. Gyökeres made his bed, said he only wanted Arsenal. Arsenal now got that bid locked in over the line. Man United kind of threw the hat in the ring very, very late on. Still need a striker. So obviously just wanted to see the availability and if it was, a feasible opportunity for them. I then think the dominoes start to fall. Now Sesko's scrambling because his two big opportunities in terms of a move in England are now drying up. Newcastle now seem to be interested. Isak's now not gone over to their pre-season tour. So it looks like that camp has now been, his head's been turned. You've got players, I say, Benjamin Sesko, Diolly Watkins. All of these other people now are starting to fall into line. And that's why we've called this one the other guys. Who are those other guys that realistically now need to land in a new club come the end of this transfer window? I can see Liverpool getting into, depending on what happens with Alexander Isak, I can see us getting into potentially a transfer battle for the likes of Rodrigo, based on the fact that we still need somebody if Luis Diaz goes out. Arsenal still want somebody on the left wing, but I think we have a stronger chance of getting him. However, will Arsenal come to the table, and will Liverpool even entertain a transfer kind of head-to-head with another club? It hasn't seemed to be that way for many clubs so far this season. It doesn't seem to be in this transfer window that there's been any sort of bidding war, really. Newcastle are having a stinker, by the way. They can't land anybody. But everybody else seems to be allocated pretty neatly in their lane with respective targets that they're just ticking off as a bit of an exercise periodically throughout the course of this window. Where do you see yourselves, Tezza? Where are the missing pieces in this Manchester United overhaul at this moment in time?
There's several, but in terms of probably the most prominent, I mean, strikers being touted a lot. There's talks of, United made an inquiry for Watkins, and apparently, they've been admirers of Sesko for a while, and also they've also had links to Jackson. Those are the kind of the three. So centre forward's definitely one. I think the club has said they want a striker. Apparently, they made a loan bid for Emi Martinez. I'm not really too sure why they tried to do a loan bid. So if not Martinez, it looks like they're going for Lamens, the young Belgian goalkeeper, to almost be an understudy, and then if he can potentially take over to be the number one from the Onana and towards the end of the season or next season. And then the biggest one that has kind of gone silent is midfield, which they're saying apparently because they have 5 players who potentially can play in the midfield, signing another one wouldn't really be financially savvy. So unless someone took Casemiro off us, which I don't really think will happen because he's only got a year left in his contract and he's on big wages, he'll probably just see it out for one more season.
You could do with moving him on, though. Let's be honest, like to free up some space in that midfield engine, because you've not got no Champions League footy. You've probably got the best part of 5 or 6 midfielders that are fighting for two places really in that system for Amorim.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, yeah, potentially, but I would almost think Casemiro's the only one who plays deepest, who's a defensive midfielder who can pass the ball long range. So if you think the other players who play there would be Ugarte, and if you play Maino a little bit deeper, they're not necessarily passers. Someone said, is Eriksen still there? No, he's left on a free. So you've got Ugarte, you've got Casemiro, and then the manager likes to play Bruno in the midfield, which I'm against. And obviously Maino's the other one. And then we have young Seko Kone, was meant to go out on loan, but he's been kept and he's gone to the United States with the team. So those are the players. And then if all else fails, you could see Mount playing in midfield, which again I'm not a big fan of, but I think it would make more sense to keep Casemiro just because of his experience. And I think we saw last season he didn't play because the manager didn't fancy him, and then he came back into the team and we got better. And I think there's a role for him to do that. I think the one that shouldn't play in midfield is Bruno. I just think he's been.
Where does he play though? That's the $1 million question. Says where does Bruno? But you've just bought two. You've just bought 2 10s.
I was going to ask this. Let's say we put Teza in charge of United tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Would you entertain the idea? Because I've seen all your tweets and all your formation ideas and everything. Yeah. Would you entertain Cunha and Mbeumo as like a floating front two?
I would.
Like
if
a 3-5-2 or 3-4-1-2.
I would, because that makes a little bit more sense in my eyes in terms of.
We talk about Cunha here. This guy he's not your forward. He's not a forward. He's not. He doesn't want to be playing on the shoulder of somebody.
But that's not what his role will be. It will be. So when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over, and Lukaku was the main front man that Jose loved, the first thing Solskjaer did was like, I don't want this target man who's clunky and just wants to get goals. I want the front line to be fluid. So what he did is put Rashford up front, and he put Martial on the left, and they would interchange and rotate. Yeah. And then some games we played both of them up front as split strikers, and then we had Pogba joining in from deeper. So it will be that kind of thing where Bruno's the one who joins from deeper. Cunha plays that left side channel, and Mbeumo plays that right side channel. And yes, okay, against certain teams, you're going to think you need a proper focal point, and you can play Xerxes there sometimes. But I think.
So you are entertaining the idea of going to get Watkins then? Is that not are you against that signing? Are you for it? Is that not going to kind of directly impact the ability to do what you've just said could happen as a possibility?
Regardless of whether Watkins comes in or not, I think the advantage of bringing in Watkins is that he played with Mbeumo for a bit. And I think...
At Brentford.
And I think they obviously haven't played together for a while, but they'll be able to pick up an understanding.
Has Tedder just gone?
Tedder froze?
He's frozen.
Obviously, if people don't know, I don't like the system and the formation because I think it's shoehorning too many players in. I actually think if you're going to play the formation, simple as, but if you've gone and spent big money on Cunha and
Sorry, you're just lagging a little bit there, Tez.
Yo,
we can hear you, but it's not.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go on, go try again.
Lower now. Okay, yeah, I was saying if Bruno's not playing as a 10, then I wouldn't play him really. I think he should also fight for his place instead of shoehorning players into positions where the team then is disjointed. Why not have your best players trying to fight out in their best positions? And then if that doesn't work, you realize that the system that you're trying to do doesn't suit the players.
I think that's going to become an ongoing narrative for United this year because there was obviously at the very early beginnings of the window, there was the opportunity to sell him to Saudi for 100 mil.
Yeah.
You chose not to. You chose to keep hold of him. But if Bruno now, on form or stylistically, isn't able to give you the output that Amarin wants and Mbeumo or Cunha is doing it, you've now got your captain who's on big wages, holding bench, because as you said, you don't want to shoehorn him into a particular position. That to me is just another recipe for having another disgruntled member of that squad that is just going to become more of a harm than a net plus. And then of course you're trying to gain ground on everybody else. So come the end of the season, if it hasn't worked, we could have sold them at least, and we could have still had that money, and we could have bolstered the squad in other areas that did fit without shoehorning players in. I think it's just going to become quite an ongoing narrative. I
agree, but then it's down to the manager to realise that if your best player should be the one who's getting goals, running off the forwards, getting penalties, free kicks, making things happen in the final third,
Yeah.
and you're playing him deeper and he's not succeeding, then I would say that's on the manager to then create a system or tactic that gets your best players. Because shoehorning Bruno in at centre midfield also then means Kobe Mainoo plays less, which then also means you're now complaining like he did against Leeds. He said that the midfield lacked pace and mobility, but at the same time, he's the one who picked the midfield of Casemiro and Bruno. So
Mainoo's the most mobile player you've got in that midfield.
yeah, well, you could argue Ugarte is, but Ugarte is nowhere near as good a footballer than Mainoo.
Yeah.
So I just think use the strengths that you have. I think yes, it's not perfect, but in another world, Mainoo sits alongside Ugarte and you play Bruno ahead of them. And it just seems like it makes sense. And then you realize, okay, Ugarte is actually not that good. We bring in someone else to play. And Mainoo, in my mind, Mainoo shouldn't be playing all the time anyway. He's a young player. He should be brought in, brought out, used sparingly and according to the opposition. But I think it's gone regressed to the opposite way where he's almost kind of being thought as a 10. The manager thinks
Well, people in the chat are saying, you know, he's a bit of a tidy player, but he's actually not that mobile. I think in terms of what you compare him to in the Man United midfield, I think he is fairly mobile, to be honest with you. But I can kind of take to this point, does he need, because he's another young player, does he need that experienced head alongside him to kind of still talk him through games, sometimes given the magnitude of the game or what's riding on it or how to see out a game? And sometimes you need that little bit of shithousery and be like, right, we're just going to, you know, we're 1-0 up, there's 15 minutes left to go, we don't need to be expansive, we, you know, put someone on the pitch talking them through those phases of the game as you kind of trying to see out a result.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. And I don't think, even though Bruno is the captain, I don't think Bruno is that guy, because sometimes he can get a bit erratic, especially if the game is not going in the way that he wanted to go. He will start trying things and hitting the Hollywood pass or breaking into the opposition box. But that's what he should be there for. And I think, yeah, you're right that there should be someone else alongside Mainoo to coach him through things. But also Mainoo should be used in that role as well, because there's certain games where it's chaotic and you bring Mainoo on and he's the calm head. He's the one who puts his foot on the ball, slows things down and gets us ticking. But instead,
so hard because you haven't really naturally got a metronome in Manchester United's midfield at the moment. You've got some explosive players, but you haven't really, as you said, someone who can put the foot on the ball. Eriksen used to be able to do it, but his legs had fell off. Do you know what I mean? Casemiro been there, done that. You know, he looks like he's on the decline. If you had to be super critical, though, Tez, let's keep it 100. You've got to be super critical. Has your transfer window worried you? Two big signings you've got, Cunha and Mbeumo. You've finished 15th last season. You've failed at the final hurdle of the Europa League. You've got no Champions League football. Did you expect more from Ineos?
To be honest, no. I'm actually a bit optimistic because we signed. I'll say that because if you told me just after the final whistle in Bilbao when we lost to Tottenham that going into pre-season and Mbeumo and Cunha will be playing up front, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take it all day. So because there's so much else that goes on, it dampens. Actually, we signed two really good players, because if you compare this to the previous attacking signings we've made in the last couple of years, like anyone will say that these are a lot more promising and have a lot more pedigree than Xerxes or Højlund or whoever
100%.
else we signed, or
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
So in that terms, yeah, I think the biggest issue is we just Ten Hag. I always say it. His fraudulent dealings have just put the club behind by so many years that now we've got to unravel this. The Sancho, Anthony, Malacia, Onana, Mount, Højlund. Bro,
he's got blood on his hands.
You can't tell me every single one player that he signed has flopped. But not only have they flopped, most of them, if you'd asked a lot of fans, they would have said, "Why are we signing them? Like, why did we sign them?"
They had to work. But once you got them, they had to work, because otherwise it was like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what are we playing at?
Exactly. Spending 55 million on Mason Mount, who is a 10. You already have Bruno, and then you wonder why your midfield's empty. Like, things like that. I just don't know how people in the club just said, yeah, that makes sense.
It's
crazy though, like, because we've spoken about how the players you guys have, in my mind, they're not United players. Like, United had a perfect team late 90s, early 2000s. There was no way to improve it. So what you done was you then spent money on Laurent Blanc, Juan Sebastian Veron, and Ruud van Nistelrooy, and they improved it. Like, that's how United used to do business. Those are the players you expected to see there, and it just ain't the same anymore.
Yeah, and on top of that, we went away from what we're trying to go back to. I think what Ineos have done, even though they've had a lot of criticism, they've tried to go back to some of the things that United used to do, where it's, let's sign young, good players for cheapish, and then the proven ones, let's get them from the Prem. I think, barring maybe last summer where they had a bit of a hiccup because they didn't sack Ten Hag in time, they probably spend a little bit more money on just basically market deals, because we didn't have money. So we had to get a release clause with Xerxes, and we had to go and get a Nugati because he was available. Even now, in Bremo, 1 year left, Cunha release clause. We're not able to yet.
Are you mad at the fee for that as well? 1 year left, paying close to 70 M's for somebody.
It is a bit crazy. It is a bit crazy, but I think because the players literally said, "This is the club I want to play for. Personal terms are done." If you pivot away from here, I think trying to sign another player that is going to semi-guarantee you Premier League goals would have been quite difficult for the position.
He got 20 plus, didn't he? I think
he got 20.
Yeah, I think
20. I think, you know what, I've just thought, you know what I think started the downfall of United in terms of transfers? Really, if you think back to it, we're signing people like Anderson and Eric Jemba.
No, not Anderson, man.
And Fabio and Raphael.
Anderson was a good dude, man. He just couldn't run a lot.
What it looks like to me, though, from the outside looking in, is that Man United identified we only scored 44, 42 goals in the Premier League last season.
Yeah.
This poor goal return wasn't enough firepower up top. But if you look at who they're currently targeting as a prime player for them to get in now in terms of what's a realistic target, Watkins, 16 goals last season. And Wemo over 20. I think Cunha ended up at about 13 or something. So between the three of them alone, their output last season was more than the entirety of United's squad in the Premier League last year. So being able to add that, I think there's a thought process there that we at least can 1.5 our output if we still keep some of the good pieces that we've got, or the pieces that are working. And then we had these that are, as you said, have a pedigree within the Premier League and are proven, whilst at the same time, Aston Villa are a little bit shaky on the ropes at the moment. They haven't had the best transfer window. Wolves, again, languishing around mid-table. They don't have lofty ambitions of being, a European club. And Brentford, it might be a drop back down to earth if they lose Risset and they lose the likes of Thomas Frank, obviously going one way. Norgard's gone to Arsenal. They've lost Mbuemo. If they lose Visitor to Newcastle, all of a sudden, a lot of their good pieces and what made them work and tick for as long as it had might be we're starting from the bottom again. We're having to now kind of go again type of thing. Teza, as a guy who, again, if we're keeping it at 100, you probably know you're not going to be in a title race next season.
Mm-hmm.
The business that's been done by Arsenal and the business that's been done by Liverpool, who are you more fearful of? Because you play Arsenal, you play Arsenal in your first game of the season.
Yeah,
you can go toe to toe with them in a one-off game if you get the right couple of signings over the line. But in the long run, over the course of the season, which signings make you think, yeah, they're in a different league?
So I'm actually really impressed with Liverpool's transfer dealings. I know they almost sign players that, if you ask like the average fan on the street and said, what player would you sign for your club? and they don't really have their own understanding of what players they go for, but they go for the name that is obvious that's been talked about. But Liverpool have actually gone and signed those players, which to me is like worrying, because normally when you hear like Verts, TK, Frimpong, you're like, yeah, they might do, but it's going to be difficult. But they have signed those. I think where it gets tricky is whether, even though like Diaz is being linked with a move out, I think if you sell Diaz, it's a lot. It's a lot. The player who has to come in will have to do a lot, because I know Diaz isn't necessarily super prolific, but he still got 13 goals in the Prem, I think, last season. But he does a lot in terms of he'll play left, he'll play through the middle, he might play on the right in certain.
He tracks back. He's got an engine on him.
And if he doesn't score in 3 games, the manager loves him because he's putting in the effort and stuff.
Shit. Yeah.
I think that's the one that I'm thinking. If you sell him, how do you get someone else with that kind of relentlessness? Which would be difficult. But I mean, in terms of signing Ekitike and Vert, I think that's good business. I do think Liverpool have overpaid for both of them, but I do also understand to grab them now rather than leave it a year, and Vert might then end up at Madrid or City or whatever, and Ekitike might end up wherever. They had to pay a little bit more. In terms of Arsenal ones are funny because they've kind of slightly got better, but at the same time, have they really? Not minus Gyökeres. But in terms of the Zubimendi to party, yes, Zubimendi's good, but there'll be a bit of a adaptation period. Norgard's the safe pair of hands. You know, he's played in the Prem, but he's not coming in to be a starter. He's probably going to fill in. Madueke, you know, the fans aren't really happy with Madueke. I think Connor's ready to fall over. I think Madueke is not a bad player, but I think the issue is that the fans are probably thinking we could have saved that 52 million, added an extra 20 million, and gone for someone else who's a superstar. So I get that from that point of view.
I forgot about him. Until you said it. I forgot about him last night when me and Errol went for a bevy. I completely forgot we signed him. Yeah. Like, it's just gone from me. He don't exist.
And he's going to be, he might even be starting, he might be your number 1 left winger.
Left winger? No, that's what's crazy. I'll bring you in, Connor, because obviously he's talking about your team. So let me bring you in. Have the signings moved the needle enough? Yes or no?
Yeah, because there wasn't much we had to actually. When you look at it, when you're looking, how are you improving this team? There was only 2 or 3 pieces max that we're actually getting. We had to get a striker because right wing was locked. There's talk of left wing.
Yeah.
But in terms of numbers and production of what you're getting from other players as well, Martinelli and Trossard, despite not having anywhere near their best seasons, still put up same numbers as other players in those positions. Rice.
I think the left wingers at the minute, or the players that play out on that side, have been pretty poor though for the last 2-3 years. I don't think. I don't think there's been a real standout superstar that I look at and think, what? Apart from Kvaratskhelia or however you still pronounce his name. Apart from him, I don't see another one. Maybe is that Doué? Does he play on the left?
He started on the left, but he plays on the right.
He plays on the right now. But again, he's only just sprouted up in the last 6 months because he went and won the Champions League. You get it?
Rafinha's done well there for Barca.
And I rate him. But do you think against him now is the age profile? He's not bringing him back to the Prem now, 29, 30.
There wasn't many that we were going to look, because Raya weren't getting replaced. The back line was strong enough already and in depth, so that weren't getting touched. Zubimendi was the target for ages, so that was always kind of going to happen, regardless of what went down with Party or not. Everyone knew he was leaving this year. So there was only 1 or 2 places that we were looking to desperately need to fill the gap. Norgard, like someone said here in the comments, was a really good signing. He's captain of Brentford for the last 3 years. Like, he's going to be, when Jorginho came on the pitch and Odegaard weren't playing, he got the armband because he had those leadership capabilities. Kepa never lived up to the hype, but I think as a backup keeper, he's a damn good backup keeper. Do you know what I mean? He should still be someone's first choice somewhere, like he was at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
But he's coming to backup, and we paid $5 million for him. Like, I think some of the business, obviously, we haven't made those crazy marquee signings, but also, like in a lot of positions, but that's also because the necessity wasn't really there. Like, you guys had to sign a right back because you're losing one of the best right backs in the world. You had to sign a left back because who was previously, for the last couple of years, probably the best left back in the world, had fallen off. You're going to be looking at a centre back because Kanate looks like he wants out anyway, right? You had to get that attacking midfielder. You've had to get that striker. So you had a much larger necessity for marquee signings in more positions. So I'm quite happy with our transfer business. I'm just going to keep forgetting that we've got Noni until he scores a goal.
Okay.
I think the thing with Arsenal, which was difficult, was because Arteta's been there for so long. Everybody has an idea of how he wants to play, so it automatically rules out certain players. Because for Liverpool, because Slot kind of earned his stripes winning the league straight away, he's almost earned his way of saying, well, that's the type of attacker or midfielder that Liverpool used to get, but because I'm the new manager and I've won the league, I now can get who I want. Whereas Arteta, I think he sees football in the way he sees football, and I think now the Arsenal fans see football how Arteta sees it. So there's been
so weird to me.
A little bit less flexibility, and I think the only thing that Arsenal could have done slightly different was sign less players. Like, okay, I get it, you needed Jorginho and Partey replacements, but you could have not signed Norgard, not sign Madueke. I'm really going to try to sign a superstar. If you know what I mean. So instead of signing 5-6,
get your Eze and get somebody else, your Morgan Gibbs White or whoever else you want.
I want Eze, you know.
I know.
I think they will still try and go for Eze. It just then throws up the question of Odegaard. Is Odegaard an automatic starter then? Because you can't tell me
he ends up in the same situation as Bruno.
But I think that's what these managers want, and I think they're trying to lean into what Pepper's done for a couple of years, where yes, they've had a star-studded team, and maybe only 3 or 4 of those players play all the time, and everyone else rotates around it.
Yeah.
So whether that's your goalkeeper, 1 centre back, 1 midfielder, and 1 attacker, and everyone else just you fight for your minutes. So
so I appreciate that fighting for the minutes thing, but do you not miss, because in this transfer window I said to you before, it almost feels like everybody's kind of segmented in their own little lane, and they've all got their all apportioned targets that they're pretty much given a nod. If you start to make the right noises, we'll make the right noises back in response. I'm of the opinion where I'm like, and maybe it's just because I'm at a point, or we're at a point in the size now where we can have the pull power to go toe to toe with Arsenal for the same player or United. Do you guys not miss like tussling with another team and being like, right, we both want, I don't know, maybe Mbeumo, maybe to an extent, kind of, you battered off Tottenham for him or Newcastle, but was there really that much kind of interest when he basically come out and said, I only really want Man U? It feels like the landscape has changed in terms of how transfers are done, because it doesn't seem like players are getting caught between a tug of war and a bidding war. I don't think clubs have that pull power as much anymore. I think it's more of a buyer's market, this transfer window, as opposed to it being a seller's market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think what's changed in the transfers, which is quite unusual, because I thought it was kind of frowned upon, is it seems that teams agree personal terms with players
Before,
and then they go, and then they go to the club and then they agree the fees. Yeah. So I think what happens is agents and intermediaries kind of get the insight that this club is interested in you. Would you be interested in talking to them?
And it's very agent heavy now.
Yeah, and then it's like, right, okay. Now
that removes the need for a bidder more, because it's not like a blind bid anymore where we see something we both want and we're like, oh well, we don't know from the outside, so the only way to find out is by going boom, go big and throw in the first offer.
You're not going to get any like Peter Odemwingie turning up at the training ground trying to push a transfer through situations anymore.
No,
yeah, exactly. And I think the only time where you could maybe say Ekitike was a little bit like that with the Newcastle, and I think maybe with Isak there might be some of that, but apart from that, I think.
Well, Isak's already came out and said, the sources basically said to us that Isak only wants Liverpool. He doesn't want to go to Saudi if he's moving. And I can't wait for Mons to show his face, because I need to get his take. Because I say, Liverpool fans, bro, I'm 33, yeah. I have never, ever seen us move this crazy with money in the transfer market.
You're only 33, yeah.
Yeah, Bambino. But I've never seen us move this mad in a transfer market to the point where they're like prime target, everybody's number one target or player that we admire up top. Like I said before, if you go around and say he's the best player in Europe or the best striker in Europe, top 5, Isak's going to be on that list by now, surely. Do you know what I mean? If he was to say 10, you'd like to think that people would be saying throwing Florian Wirtz in the mix. If you're saying fullbacks from the Premier League, left back wise, you're going to be talking about Kerkez. You know, across the continent, you might be talking about Jeremy Frimpong. All of a sudden, but we're adding on top of the Salahs that are already in there, the Allisons, the Van Dijks, the Canates, the McAllisters. Like, we are being spoiled to an extent I have never, ever witnessed. And I'm like, I can't look past Liverpool at the minute. Like, as much as Gyökeres does change things for Arsenal, and he might be good in the big games. He might be someone that stands up for them and doesn't go missing. I'm like, over the course of a season, I can't see anybody being more consistent in this Liverpool team.
Yeah, potentially. I think the unfortunate thing happened with Jota, so that's still kind of something that we don't know how it will play on the players. But
I think that's very true.
In terms of like a continuation of how they were last season, to add these players into the environment, the players who are already there are probably going to be like, wow, what's happening? Because typically, like as you said, Liverpool would have maybe that time when you signed Van Dijk and Alisson, but even still, that was just 2. I feel like now it's like whoever is available, we're going to try and get. And there's a likelihood that they are going to sign. So,
but we're not fighting anybody either. This is what the mad thing is, bro. It's like we're getting a clean run. Again, all right, maybe you could say the early one, Florian Wirtz. We was the last one in the breaking news that Liverpool had conversations. Prior to us, it was Bayern, and we thought Bayern were going to end up in a little bit of a bid or more with Manchester City. We know City have got more money, but Bayern have got that legacy within the Bundesliga that they can tap up top talent from the Bundesliga, and it's normally a bit of a foregone conclusion that will happen seamlessly. But then Liverpool entered the conversation, entered the chat, and all of a sudden, but Bayern crumble and fold, and City don't want none of it. So I'm like, when does this again? Even at that point in time, I still didn't think we'd go on. I thought Liverpool, because they've spoiled us, we've got a marquee, everybody will just get back down, be quiet and be grateful. But they've just carried on like they've just had this mad rush of dopamine and been like, boy, I want to go again. Let's get another one through the door, and another one, and then another one. And all of a sudden, you're looking at close to 5 or 6 players now that equally take us up another level. And I don't think I've ever seen that level in world football. So I'm hoping it comes good on the pitch, because on paper right now, Connor, do you really think you can go toe-to-toe with Liverpool next season?
I do.
Of course you do.
I think you are our biggest threat. But I do think we can go toe-to-toe. Because, again, I think it's going to be another season where we're all within, injuries depending, because when you guys had injuries, you struggled with points. We had injuries, struggled with points. But depending that, we're going to finish in that 85-plus point bracket moving into the 90s.
You've lost already. Unless you're going
to go for 100 points.
I'm saying our benchmark is 90 points.
That's your benchmark.
That's the bit. Bro, that is the base. That is our floor. If Liverpool fail to get 90 points, it's been an absolutely shocking Premier League campaign.
We haven't seen 90 points for 6 years, bro.
And that's fine. But I haven't had a Wirtz and Isak,
that's fair.
in the, like, I haven't had them for the last 6 years to put into this squad. And on top of that, last year, I think if we would have needed 90 points to win the league, I think we had it within us. I think because we wrapped the league up with 4 or 5 games to spare, the lads pretty much went on an early holiday and soaked up all of what it was to be Premier League champions. If they still had to be locked in, I think there would have been a version of events where we probably do get 91, 92 points if needed and if we're pushed to that point. But I think that should be the floor. And only once you hit the floor do you then start to enter conversations about title races. That's how I view it, seriously.
I think to add to that from like an outside perspective, what Arsenal will need to do is, well, maybe not just Arsenal, but if you think Arsenal and Liverpool will be the top 2, City in the 3, then you're going to say probably Chelsea, maybe Newcastle, maybe Villa as 4, 5, 6. Arsenal need to go into all of those games thinking that they're better than everyone and beating everyone. Because I think Liverpool do. And I think
100%.
I think even though City have dropped off, I still think City do as well. I don't know whether Arteta thinks, okay, obviously Anfield away for anybody. I don't think anyone thinks, yeah, we're going to go and beat Liverpool away, because that's just a one-off for anybody. But I think, yes, you have had a bit of success against City, but if City come back, Arsenal need to go into that City game and go, we're getting 6 points from City, home and away. We're getting 6 points from United and Spurs. And I know you have done in certain seasons, but at the same time, sometimes you haven't.
I mean, our biggest problem the last couple of seasons, because we did, like last season, obviously they came to ours, we were like City who. We drew them 1-1 at the Etihad with 10 men. We did it finish 2 points each with us and Liverpool? Did we beat Liverpool one game, draw the next? Or was that the season before?
That was the season before. People won each, didn't we? Or did we draw? Did we draw both?
I think it was just draw both games last season.
Draws,
Chelsea we dealt with. Our issue was...
Yeah, but we drew at the end of the season once it was done. Do you get me? We didn't need to win that game by that
Our issue last season was the West Hams and the Bournemouths and the Brightons.
Bro, you sound like me 6 years ago. That be our problem. I used to say I ain't fearful of the Tottenham Hotspurs. I'm not fearful of the Arsenals or the Man U's. I'll go toe to toe with the City. It's the West Hams, it's the Brightons, it's the Bournemouth, it's the Crystal Palaces that constantly just trip me up. So it's not about being like superiority complex and knowing that we can beat the big boys. I just don't know if I am convinced yet that Arsenal have got the minerals to say. And even as a fan, again, and you're a positive fan there, kind of like, and I know you're still balanced, but you like to see things with the optimism, which is fine, you're entitled to. But even your floor was 85. I'm telling you, that's not good enough. I'm like, unless City can come to the table and say we're going to do post 90, or unless Chelsea say to come to the table and say we're going to do post 90, I can't look past Liverpool this season. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on Liverpool channel and I've got Liverpool people in the comments that will back that. I just genuinely believe the way that City transformed what a title race looks like, there's no point sweating a title race until you've got 90 points in the bag. And at that point, you can start looking to see how many games have you actually got left to try and either eclipse somebody or seal the league. It's as simple as that for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the bar is...
Who's we? Who is we? Who is this we that you speak of? I need to know.
Well, because I'm thinking of it from the point of view of, I think, even though I've been critical of Chelsea, I actually think Chelsea will be better this season.
I think they will.
And
they had a good start to last season, didn't they, Tez? They had a good start to the season.
Till about January, till Palmer and Jackson fell off, but I think they'll be a bit better. I think what they haven't done, they haven't gone too crazy. They've kept most of the team and just added a few. So I think that's a sign of the team is gelling and you just need a few additions. I think Spurs will be better. I think just by default, Thomas Frank's not going to do some of the crazy stuff Ange did. So they'll pick up more points.
I agree with Tez on that. I do.
Where there might be a drop-off and a downfall is the likes of Villa and Newcastle and Forest, who are in Europe with their squads and stuff. It might be a bit more difficult. And especially like Forest not used to being in Europe, and Newcastle, I mean, they're struggling to sign anyone. I'll be playing for Newcastle next week if they want, because they're struggling to find players. So I think it will be very, very close. But I actually do think Arsenal will do. I think Arteta knows that it's coming up to make or break, because you can't be giving them another 200 plus million and then
He's had $1 billion. He may, by the end of this window, we'll have had £1 billion to have spent on his squad, and he's got everybody in that squad. That's his players that he's wanted for a number of years. He ain't got no excuses for me. No, you can't have. And I say the same to Chelsea fan. You can't have $1 billion spent and still be coming with excuses as to why you are not able to compete for a league title. It doesn't wash.
Yeah.
Because teams had to do it before they got the bill. So if teams were doing it before they had that pace, why aren't you doing it with all of that cash? I'm not here to just pocket watch what you're doing, but you've got big dough. How have you not went out and got the right place? Like what? Chelsea have spent £1 billion and still don't have a goalkeeper that they would stand on business and say, yeah, that's our goalkeeper. He can push us towards a title.
Yeah, Chelsea's thing, I don't know what they're doing it just so they're sustainable for 10 years. So they're not really interested in winning big titles until 2032. That's why they give them like 7-year contracts.
Yeah, death row contracts for fun, bro. It's ridiculous. There's a quick funny question in the chat that we will just entertain, and then I'll bring my boy Mons in. Big up Mons as well every single time.
Come on, man, big up.
You know this. When Man United score the first goal against Arsenal, who do you think's going to hit that Coquerel celebration first? Depends who's left. It doesn't look like you can say
Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, he's not even there. He's
Nacho. And Sancho.
That's Alessandro running up to Gyökeres doing that.
Yeah. I can see that he's the only one that kind of got that needle in it.
Never going to happen. When Gyökeres scores that first goal, then Gabriel's going to just turn around and run to the United fans with his back, man. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I actually think United will beat Arsenal first game of the season. It's got Arsenal being frustrated, Mbeumo through, bam, 1-0. Arsenal can't deep block, break the back. It's got one of them, and then we lose the other 3 following games, but it's got that.
But yeah, no, I could see that.
I think to be fair, I've got it wrong. I thought you meant when Arsenal score, who's going to do the Gyökeres celebration? Because I know Sancho, Garnacho, and Marcus Rashford will be doing that celebration, whoever teams they're playing for. But no, I do just be with Mbeumo and Cunha. You man are going to get goals. There's no doubt about that. Now you've actually can score goals. But I just think Zubi, Rice, Odegaard, and Norgard and those guys in midfield. I just think your midfield it's just big. It's giving bagel settings, man. And until you get that, maybe I don't know, the guy from Wolves, Gomez from Wolves, one of those type of guys, maybe Luis with a midfield that gaping hole. I think Arsenal are going to make mincemeat of you, man. If you defend well, then and Wayman 1 shot 1 goal, you can do it. It's not impossible. Can do it.
Put them in.
But Arsenal, I think Arsenal going to put you man in a blender.
The thing about what you're saying about Man U's bagel midfield, I don't even think it's personnel. I think it's a tactical system. I just think the manager's flawed. There's very minimal teams in the Premier League that play with 2 midfielders and they have to cover the space, and that's why there's lots of space, because we try and press from 3, and then midfield 2 are just left.
I mean, you had no midfield under Ten Hag as well.
He did the same thing. They all do madness. Instead of having...
There's 4-2-4 in it.
Not even that. It was 47-year-old Casemiro trying to cover the space by himself.
Yeah.
And now, instead of that, he's added Bruno to Casemiro to try and cover the space, which again...
Bruno just wants to vacate it every single time, any chance he's given.
So, I think it's difficult when United fans kind of look at what midfielder to put, it's still the tactical setup, because I see Liverpool play and they play Gravenberch and McAllister and Jones are not necessarily defensive midfielders, but they get about the pitch. But when Liverpool defend, they defend with 4 or 5 man close together. And I don't mean 5 at the back, but I mean your midfield 3 and one of your wide men tuck in, and your back 4 squeezes the pitch and makes it really difficult. Whereas United, if we don't have the ball, our wing backs don't go high; they drop into a 5, and then the 3 then either get disjointed because they don't know whether to press to join the striker or drop to be a midfield 4. and that's where we get caught out in between, and that's where you see where teams Brighton. If I mean, you might not remember, but Brighton last season against United, Onana made 2 mistakes, but they scored the same goal twice, where long ball, because Mitoma basically makes a run in behind whoever's playing right wing back, and I think it was João Pedro or Welbeck drops, so our centre back follows him, and then they just make that run in behind, and then they just square it and it's a goal. And it happened twice, and we're 2-0 down, and it's like teams who watch United will just do that repetitively, because it's difficult to, when you've got 5 back, to try and squeeze the whole pitch, because everyone has to cover so much ground. Whereas if you just sit in a normal, when I say normal, back four shape, your whole team can squeeze. It is a lot of, especially in the Premier League, having an extra player behind the ball instead of contesting or in front, it makes a massive difference.
I think Manchester United are going to go through a lot of. It's still going to be more pain before it gets better for you. But I agree with Monson. He's saying you've got strikers now. I said that before once. Ollie Watkins, if they get him over the line, Mbeumo and Cunha, they got more goals or more GA last season than the whole of United squad. Just them 3 players alone. So you add them into the mix, all of a sudden you want at least a 1.5 times the better return. So you got 42 goals last season. You're hoping for at least 64, 65, 66 goals bare minimum, which again is still very low metrics for what you would expect a good Manchester United team to be looking to achieve. But while I've got my boy in the chat, big up, Mons. We're moving mad. I feel like we're going to see a villain arc from a couple of Liverpool fans, and you are suspect number 1 in terms of it's going to be long for some people online. Tell me how you're feeling.
I mean, I don't like. Listen, if I'm going to be referred to the villain, that's fine. I see myself as the hero of our story. That's the way I see it. I see the hero of our own story, and that's often the villain to others. First of all, as I said, I have to thank Man United dearly. I thank Man United so much, because I believe that Isak's situation was heavily reliant on bringing players into Newcastle to show that they can build around him so they can compete simultaneously for the Champions League and the Premier League. Because the last time around, 2 years ago, when they qualified for the UCL, they got knocked out of the group stages, unfairly so because of the referee decision in that PSG game, but they wouldn't have made it past the quarters. So they got knocked out pretty early in the champs, and I think they finished 7th or 8th. They cannot coexist in the Champions League and the Premier League. Their squad is too thin. So no matter how good Isak is, it's not enough. Now, Isak wants to see players come in, Newcastle build their squad, and then they go from there. And that's where you guys came in. You took Mbeumo when they wanted Mbeumo. You took Cunha when they wanted Cunha. And that was where the cracks started to form. Because all of a sudden, now he's seeing a 15th place Man United who are rubbed, who are the worst team since sliced bread in terms of the top teams, taking a target of a team that's in the Champions League, the mighty Toons. So this is why I like to decide. This is why I say they my bitch's bitch. This is why I say they my bitch's bitch, because at the end of the day, now that Man United have caused the cracks by taking their targets, Isak started to have second thoughts. Then that's where Chelsea came in. They went and got João Pedro.
He's the one.
Another target.
He's still the one that got away from me.
And and then Arsenal, and that's what. And I don't think you're free. You guys, they wanted Madueke. You guys went and got Madueke. Newcastle wanted Madueke as well before Elanga. So therefore, all of you guys have had a hand in taking Newcastle's targets. And I believe if Liverpool came in for Isak at the start of the window, we would have got a firm no from the player and the team. But now that Newcastle can't get none of their targets, Liverpool, as smart as we are, have now twisting the screw slightly, and now Isak wants to leave because they can't build. They're not those guys. They don't have that pedigree. And the Ekatike thing, don't worry about that. We just wanted to be. That's just a flexing thing. We don't even need Ekatike. That's a rollie I'll wear every 3 months. That's a rollie I'll wear every 3 months. I'm not even gonna flex that one. That one stays in my room. I promise.
The maddest thing about him is, Newcastle were like, we're gonna have Isak. We're not having him as Isak's replacement. We're having him to play up top with Isak. And all of a sudden, both of them, man, could be in a. I'm thinking, you lost.
Oh no, Errol, we've changed it now. We don't say both. We say both of them. Both of them. That's it's hashtag both of them. Look at this in the chat. Hashtag both of them, because that's what we do now. Hashtag both of them. That Ekatike and Isak. And guess what? Super Sunday, match day 2, 4:30, St. James's Park. I want to see a 4-4-2. I want to see a 4-4-2. I want to see this. I want to see this. I want to see this. Yeah, at St. James's Park in the colors of red. Yeah. And as I said, for everyone that's pocket watching, for man that have spent 50 million on money and man that are spending 50 million on Gittins, don't watch my pockets. If that's how you're spending your money, don't watch my pockets. For the life of me, don't watch my pockets. For the life of me. Because clearly, we, like, everyone wants to spend their money in stupid ways. So in that case, let us spend the way we want to spend. And at the end of the day, this is a tax bracket that no one has seen before. I'll be honest. So the expectations are going to be crazy. I get that. But the way I see it, with the money that we're kind of chucking everywhere, I know all of our elders have told us this once in our life. That is very expensive. So if you're going to purchase this item, can you really afford it unless you can buy it twice? So for those questioning Liverpool's money, you can only really afford something unless you can buy it twice or more than once. I know you lot's aunties and uncles have told you that one when you buy your new pair of shoes. Can you buy it twice? You know what I'm saying? So, and I ain't even talking about Hugo. I'm talking about Florian. I'm not even talking about Hugo. So you see, with this type of money and this type of pedigree, and the fact that all the teams that rival us have played a hand in causing the cracks of Newcastle to arise by taking their targets. And on top of that, Luis Diaz being on 55k a week, 29, and still going for 7 years. Double profiting 40 million off of Diaz at 29 when he was on 55 grand a week. Go and achieve your dreams, Diaz. By all means, follow your dreams, bro. You've done your job. Follow your dreams. Go wherever you want. Follow your dreams. You've done your job here. I have not a bad word to say about you. Not a bad word to say. Harvey Elliott being quoted at 40 million starting price. Consequences. 35. You realize Jerome Kwanzaa is 5 million off of Arsenal's record sale.
Yeah.
Which was to us.
Yeah. But once I had this one before, and again, before we wrap, I'll ask 2 questions to everyone, so you can all have your say and take a little bit of time on it because we're not in too much of a rush. There was one chat that I was just trying to bring up then, and it's this one here from our boy. Big up everybody. By the way, if you're not and you haven't already, do some admin for the man then, yeah? Like the stream. There's over 200 of these in here. We haven't got 100 likes, so just run up the likes. That's all we're asking. Subscribe to the channel, smash the likes. But he's saying, get me Rodrigo. So the 2 questions that I want to close on, and they are important. Stick around because I think they are important questions. Those that aren't Liverpool fans, down that side, is it fair that Liverpool have spent the way that they are spending? And if we got Isak, because he wants out and he only wants Liverpool, is it greedy to add in Rodrigo in the mix if we was to lose Diaz? Is that too much? Are we too OP at that point? Let us know. Even in the chat, is Rodrigo greedy from a Liverpool perspective? And
should with Isak or without Isak?
I'm talking with them both. I want Isak. Isak the next. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm hungry. I want both of them.
Hey, it's very greedy. I personally think it's too much change. Like it's too much change. I mean, maybe the balance of the attack, like on paper, amazing. I think maybe so much change in our front line. But then again, you could say Chiesa don't play.
He's not going to.
Nunes don't play.
Nunes is good. The 3 of those attackers are going to go. So we're only going to have Ekatike, Gakpo,
it's really
Salah,
Diaz.
Obviously with the loss of well. So there's 4 players that in that attack contributed last year or didn't contribute enough that it will go. And then it's only going to be Ekatike, Gakpo, and Salah as the mainstay 3 up until this point because the other 2 haven't been signed.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. We only have 3 attackers that are looking like our Gara stays for next season. I think if we do go and get Isak, I see us maybe going and getting a Fofana, maybe like just a cheaper option to kind of deputize Gakpo, or maybe this was the off-brand kind of thought. If we do get Isak and there's Isak, Ekitike, Salah, and Gakpo, so we have those 4. I do believe maybe Frimpong might be an like kind of auxiliary type of winger build. I feel like Frimpong and Wirtz as a left-sided player and maybe even Sobo might be used as utility players to fill in the front line. If we don't, because obviously with the passing of Joe, obviously rest his soul, we are automatically going to be a man down, whether we like it or not. Do you know what I'm saying? So with the 4 plus Isak, if that does happen, we might get another attacker. But I do believe, I don't know if Rio, I'd love to see Rio get promoted. I'd love to see Rio get some minutes in the cup. I'd love to see that, but I don't know if he will be afforded those minutes. I think Jeremy Frimpong might play a few games in attacking positions. I just don't think it's a crazy shout. Conor Bradley has shown no signs of deserving to be dropped.
No, he's not looking to share the role, is he? He's not saying, we'll both take turns with this one. Bradley has just as much as a chance to play as Frimpong at this moment. If anything, Bradley's actually more proven to play. I'm not saying he's better, I'm not saying who's better than who. Do you reckon Frimpong could play right wing when Salah goes AFCON?
This is what I'm saying. I think
Frimpong, and he's going to go to AFCON anyway, so we're going to need, if we lose Salah's firepower in the way that he did from last season in the AFCON times, nobody else really wanted to step up in the same way.
I think he'll be used as that old school right winger, right-footed, right wing, or almost that 4-4-2 right mid that we used to see, in the old, in like, I'd say maybe like 04 times to like 011, where it was like that proper 4-4-2 core. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying we'd play 4-4-2, but I feel like he'd be deployed as like a right winger, beat your man, get across in, see what happens. That kind of Frimpong to Ekitike. Why not? A bit old school, but why not? So yeah, I think Rodrigo would probably be greedy financially, but we're in a great place with money. As I said, man, we got rollies. Rollies on both wrists at this point. Crazy.
Lads, on the other side of the fence, how does that make you feel? Should Liverpool be spending the way that we've spent so far this summer? And if we was to get somebody like Rodrigo on top of an Isak, are we just taking the piss at this point?
It's business at the end of the day, isn't it? You guys have run your business in a way that has allowed you and afforded you to have this money to spend at a point where you are now Premier League champions, so you're going to attract more players in. Can we even say, is it greedy? Because it's up to the players where they want to go. And if you want to splash your money, That's it. Job done. The rest of us have got to deal with that. We've been dealing with it with teams like City for years. Look at the first team players that they've had sitting on their bench.
Does it make you think, though, as an Arsenal fan, Connor, last season was the season where we missed the boat to go and get that striker? Because if we know what we know now, then why are we sitting on our hands when we know Liverpool are about to absolutely blow the bank on some of the best talent across Europe?
Right, man. I have vented my frustration with the club's dealings over the last couple of years with us not getting that striker. So I don't know, but I'm happy that we've got the one that we have now. This is the one I've been after the whole time. But no one. I mean, obviously we knew you guys were going to spend this year, but who knew you were going to go and bang out 350 mil?
No one, we don't, because it's not.
Exactly.
That's not something that we do.
You'd have been deluded if any Liverpool fan would have come out and said, "I know we're going to spend close to 400." You'd have laughed at them and said, "Lad, you're a dickhead because you don't know this."
Every time James Pearce says something about a war chest, I laugh. Because I've seen that same war chest tweet every season.
I was a paperboy delivering the Echo, reading on the way to next house, war chest. This is going back 15, nearly 20 years.
Lazar Markovic days. Probably even before that.
Yeah, but I'm talking Alberto Aquilani days. Type of news articles, bro. I'm reading it first time.
That Aquilani was kind of exciting at the time.
But again, we digress. Yeah. The point is, though, now we are at this position. Teza, do you feel that Liverpool are doing what a big club of the size of Liverpool should be doing, or do you think actually no, they're actually just about to break the Prem and it's going to get long, especially for Manchester United to try and play catch up?
I mean, similar to what Connor said, if Liverpool have run their club in a way that allows them to spend, and you've just got money from, the thing is, it's not just Liverpool spending, it's season on season. They're typically selling youth players and getting pure profit. So that adds to it and it enables you to spend even more. So I think if you can do it and you're not breaking the rules, do it. Chelsea spend X amount of money on 17-year-olds and no one knows how they're able to do it, and they're selling the women's team and all this stuff. But Liverpool are doing it in a way that they didn't spend for last season, majority, and then they've kind of added what they should have spent maybe last season to what they're spending now, and they're doing it all in one go. So I think what Liverpool are doing and why they're probably going for as many top talents is the future proofing. So you've probably seen like United or Arsenal losing big players like Sanchez or Ozil, or United have lost whatever, Varane, all these players, and then realizing actually it's a lot harder to bring in a player just when that player's gone. So I think they're looking at it from like Salah might be here for 2 seasons, or he might drop off in 18 months though. But if we've got Isak or Wirtz or Ekitike already there flying, if he drops off, it's fine. And I think that's what they're trying to do. So they want to be good now, but also in 2 years' time, still be at a level where, which is scary because Wirtz is like, what, 22? Ekitike is like 22, 23. So you're thinking in 2 years' time, they're still only going to be like 24, 25. The same with Kerkez, Frimpong as well. So I think, yeah, in terms of greed, I think it's greedy in terms of the status of players, because I don't know whether there's an issue for Slot to when who's the superstar. Salah's the superstar already, but Isak doesn't join Liverpool to be second fiddle. He wants to be superstar. Rodrigo will say, I've just been at Real Madrid, I'm a superstar. You just broke the record on Wirtz. Wirtz is going to say he's a superstar. So that's where there might be a bit of like a balance.
That's a champagne headache for me to work it. I'll be real. That's a champagne headache. If they all want to be superstars and they all want to win things, you're in a team sport. You're not all Usain Bolts all out there after the best record time for yourself. You're basically all in it as a team. So you've kind of got to have the herd mentality that you're all pushing towards the same goal. I want winners in my squad ultimately. At the end of the day, I want lads that think, yeah, if I'm in, like, that's why I think Isak's so dissettled, because he's like, bro, I'm not winning with Newcastle. Like, let's be real. I might have won the Carabao Cup. That's great. I might win an FA Cup. That's great. But I'm not winning the Prem and I'm not winning the Champions League. Look at what's going on over there. If I'm in that team, we fucking dog walk this league. No ifs, no buts about it. We're just going to dog walk the league. There's a very good chance. Now, obviously, there's going to be the competition. Arsenal are going to throw themselves in the hat in the ring. They're going to get involved. They're going to be in the mix. City are obviously going to come back. But in terms of that belief, that inner belief, having a Wirtz, having an Isak, having a Salah, having a Van Dijk, having the Allisons, the Kerkezes, all of these players are going to go in with the belief that actually, no, we are mustard. We are best in class. We are the apex team within this Premier League, in my mind. I've just got a quick super chat that I want to just bring up there from UK Drilly. Big up, bro. That's thank you very much for the contribution. Thank you very much for the chat. Ops best pray that we don't get Rodrigo and Isak, or it's phase 10 settings for certain man. Done out here and unfit for the war. Bro, it's facts. Like, that is OP. You always get those superheroes that have just got no right to be in the same universe as all of the little guys because they just got too much power. And Liverpool look like we could be that team this year, man.
If you do sign Rodrigo, though, I actually low key think he's the one who will find himself on the bench more time than all the others. Because
do you? Yeah.
Yeah, only because I feel Salah you don't drop, and he obviously when AFCON comes he'll be rested. If Isak was there, Isak's the striker. I think Wirtz is your golden child, your playmaker. And I still think, especially in big games, Szoboszlai is going to play. I think he's the one that he just gives the running, the energy, the pressing. It's the same way when Arsenal fans say Odegaard shouldn't play. He's the one who leads from the front, from the press. And I just see the one to be left on the bench will be Rodrigo. So that's why I'm saying
I've got Rodrigo on my bench, lad, and I can bring him on at any moment in a game. Lad, I'm not going to complain, me as a Liverpool fan, but it's we've got unfinished business, and I just never thought we'd be getting to this point with already having world beaters in the squad and thinking we've still got more to go. we've still got more business to do and get over the line. So it'll be interesting. Mons, your prediction, are you comfortable? Do you see anybody competing with Liverpool as we close into the new season 3 weeks away?
I think Arsenal will be there. They just have the quality. They're very balanced. And they've proven time and time again why they challenge year in, year out. I think City will be back with a vengeance. They have a backline full of strippers, but they have a lot of firepower to remain there. But I feel like Liverpool, for me, I had Liverpool winning the league right after the Wirtz signing. After we signed Wirtz, I said, right, go retain it now. This is the first time we've ever, the first time in a long time that we've actually showed intent post winning a major. So for me, once you show that intent, it's now down to the manager and the players to go and achieve that. So for me, I think Liverpool are going to retain. You add Isak to that, you add Ekitike to that, then yeah, for me, no excuses, obviously, bar like crazy circumstances, God forbid, and stuff like that. So that's for me. But I don't think it's as clear cut. I don't think it's as clear cut as, oh my gosh, go win the quadruple now, otherwise you're a disgrace. Like if I was to go and win the Premier League and the FA Cup, I'm gonna be so upset with the rival fans' judgment while I'm hugging my Premier and my FA Cup. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I believe Liverpool, for me, the Premier League is the standard, and everything after that, we'll see. It's a cup competition. So I think the Champions League, you can't just say go and win the Champions League. Like Real Madrid went X amount of years before they went on their run. Barcelona went X amount of years. It's been 10 years already for them. Man United, you lot know, 2008 and nearly 20 years without a champs. Us is coming up to 7 years without a champs. You know, that UCL is, you can't just be like, oh, because you spent loads of money, go win the UCL. Do you know what I'm saying? But for the Premier League and for the other two domestics, I believe Liverpool will be in with a shout. We do well in the cups as well in terms of like how far we get. So definitely, I have Liverpool doing very well. But I see Arsenal and Man City being right there. You can't ignore the signing of Gyökeres. You'd be dumb to be naive to a signing like Gyökeres. You'd be dumb to be naive to Rodri coming back, Reinders joining the midfield, and the quality of Cherki in Man City's midfield. You just be naive to look at that and just, you know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, I'm a hater. So game week 1 and 2, when I'm gassed and Liverpool do the business straight away, I'm going to be probably a bit like that. But speaking now with a level head, you know, before Isak signs the papers, with a level head, Man City and Arsenal are going to be right there.
I think I'm new way. I think it'll be Arsenal, Chelsea. To be honest with you, I think City will.
And Chelsea. Sorry, I didn't even. Yeah, João Pedro and Cole Palmer. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of João Pedro and Cole Palmer. That link up is, I think João Pedro's baller, man. I would have taken him at Liverpool before Ekitike, and people called me crazy because he only got 5 outfield goals. But he's not a bad finisher. He just doesn't. It's his conversion rate's actually 5th best in the league. It's just because he doesn't shoot that much because of the role he plays. Welbeck was the gunman.
Yeah, selfless. But lads, again, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I know it was a little bit earlier, but as I say, we've got to head down to Anfield. We've got other commitments. I'm about to put a suit on and look the part to get me on my James Bond-ish for the evening. So yes, make sure that you do drop a like on the stream on the way out. And make sure that you are actually getting involved with the chat. Drop a like on the stream. Connor, let people know where you are, where they can find your content at the moment.
Yeah, you can find me across all platforms under CDL Arsenal, and also I got CDL Sports, where I branch away from just the Arsenal chat. A couple of those things of football, women's Euros, basketball, boxing, whatever. Yeah, doing loads of short content and trying to get some long form content sorted soon.
Cool. Man like Tezza, what have you got going on? Let people know.
Yeah, same as Connor, all platforms. Mine's Tezki, TEZSKII. Mainly just ranting on Twitter every day. But that's the main one. But all the others, yeah, you'll find me there.
Go. And man like Mons, big up, big 6 pants. Let people know what you're up to, what's going on. Go on.
Got a show at 7:30 with the boys. Gonna be very shameless. Very, very shameless. I have to address the heathens that partner me on my channel, because that's what they are outside. Obviously, my family and that, but you know. So tune in 7:30. I've got an Isak update out today. I'll be doing the Isak stuff pretty much daily to just keep the updates flowing on the channel. So yeah, man, like, subscribe. More importantly as well, don't make sure you subscribe to these guys and smash the like button here as well and follow, man.
Make sure you do. Make sure you do. Thank you very much, everybody. I'd say this has been a bit of a different Red Cartel, just because obviously we had time constraints and stuff to go on with the rest of the evening. But at the same time, same way, we will give you the content, so make sure that you're doing your admin on the way out as well. And we will be back next week with a full panel. There'll be more movements in this transfer window, and we will be 1 week closer to the Premier League coming back, ladies and gents. That's what we're all asked about. That's what we want to see. So yeah, man, keep tuning in, keep turning up every single time. Love and respect. Thank you for the panel, and we will be back again in a week. Wow.
Peace.